Are you scheduled for an upcoming C&P exam for your VA disability claim and it has you stressed out? Don't worry, today I've got you covered. The number one trigger for VA rating cuts is a C&P exam. So today I'm going to dive into the 38 CFR and the M21-1, and I'm going to be looking at the rules that the C&P examiners must follow and how you can prepare to defend your rating utilizing medical evidence. So the first thing I want to jump into is the failure to report for an exam. And I can tell you there is dire consequences for failing to report, so I recommend that you do not do this. This can be referenced in the 38 CFR section 3.655. And here's what it says word for word. For an original or supplemental claim, when a claimant fails to report for an examination scheduled in conjunction with an original compensation claim, the claim shall be rated based upon the evidence of record. So if you do not go to the exam, what you're doing is you are solely relying upon the evidence in your file and just in hopes that the C&P examiner makes the right decision. It's a big risk. Now, what does it say about a claim for an increase in the event you do not go to your C&P exam? When the examination was scheduled in conjunction with an original claim, a supplemental claim for a benefit which was previously disallowed, or a claim for an increase, the claim shall be denied. So if it is for an increase and you do not go to the C&P exam, the claim appears to be denied. Huge risk. I recommend you do not do that. So to recap, if you miss a scheduled VA reexamination for your disability claim, the VA will rate your claim based only on the evidence already in your file. Now, for original claims, this means your case is decided on what's on the record. No new exam results are being considered if you miss the exam. But now for a supplemental claim or a request for an increase in benefits, missing the exam usually means your claim will be denied. So what should we as veterans do if this were to happen? The first thing is always check your mail. Always go and check the VA app to see if you do have any exam notices outstanding. If you do, respond promptly to all VA correspondence in regard to those. And if you do miss an exam, be sure and get with your VSO, your accredited claims agent, your attorney, whoever you're working with, and act quickly. Don't ignore the notice. You may have a limited window to reschedule or provide evidence. So the key takeaway here is your participation in scheduled exams is critical for maintaining your benefits. So stay proactive and informed to protect your VA disability rating. Now, what happens when a veteran fails to report for a reexamination request? So straight from the 38 CFR, the issue is continuing entitlement. The VA shall issue a predetermination notice advising the payee that payment for disability or disabilities for which the reexamination was scheduled will be discontinued, or a minimum evaluation is established in Part 4, or there is an evaluation protected under 3.951, reduced to a lower evaluation. Such notice shall also include the prospective date of discontinuance or reduction, the reason therefore, and statement of the claimant's procedural and appellate rights, and the claimant shall be allowed 60 days to indicate his or her willingness to report for a reexamination or to present evidence that the payment for disabilities or disabilities by which the reexamination was scheduled should not be discontinued or reduced. So in simple terms, if you miss a reexamination, the VA will send out a predetermination notice explaining to you that your disability payments may be discontinued or reduced. If your disability rating is protected, for example, under the 20-year rule or 10-year rule or 5-year rule, there may be a reduction, but only to the lowest level of that protection. You will be provided notice, and in that notice will be the date your payments could stop or be reduced, the reason for the change, and your rights to respond or appeal the change. You'll have 60 days to indicate your willingness to attend a reexamination and present evidence showing your payments should not be discontinued or reduced. So my advice is, first, do not miss your re-examinations. Always check your mail and your VA app for examination notifications. Respond promptly to any VA correspondence. And if you miss an exam, get with your VSO or whoever is representing you and act quickly. Don't ignore the notice and try to mitigate the risk. Because to the VA, the excuse, "I didn't get the mail," is rarely a valid excuse. Now, the next part of the C&P exam I want to discuss is extremely important. And this is going to go to the heart of you describing your symptoms to the C&P examiner and also making sure that what you're describing is lining up with the evidence and lining up with the terminology utilized in the 38 CFR Schedule 4 under your claimed disability condition, making sure that it lines up with what level of severity within that matches your evidence and matches your condition. So first, I'm going to quote directly from the 38 CFR 4.2, then we'll break it down. And it states, different examiners at different times will not describe the same disability in the same language. Features of the disability which must have persisted unchanged may be overlooked or changed for the better or worse, but not be accurately appreciated or described. It is the responsibility of the rating specialist to interpret reports of the examination in light of the whole record history, reconciling the various reports into a consistent picture so that the current rating may accurately reflect the elements of the disability present. And each disability must be considered from the point of view of the veteran working or seeking work. If a diagnosis is not supported by the findings on the examination report, or if the report does not contain sufficient detail, it is incumbent upon the rating board to return the report as inadequate for a reevaluation purposes. So it's very important that when you go to your C&P exam and you describe your symptoms to your C&P examiner, that you describe them on a worst day scenario or a baseline of your condition. Your goal is to give them a holistic approach of how you are over a long period of time, and for them to get that view, not a snapshot of how you are today or tomorrow, but rather give them a good, clear indication as to what your general condition is. Now, it's very important when you're doing this, like I said just a few minutes ago, that you go before the examination to the 38 CFR Part 4, find your disability you're claiming, go down, dig within that Schedule 4, under that disability that, like I said, you're claiming, and look at the different levels of percentages awarded to make sure that you are speaking to the appropriate domain within your Schedule 4 condition so that it accurately reflects the way that you are and the evidence that you have. It's important to clarify that that is not misleading in the C&P exam. What you're doing is conveying to them what your typical day is to where they get a baseline of your condition versus a up or down peak element of your condition. And it states here, the VA disability ratings are meant to reflect the true ongoing impact of a veteran's condition. It's up to you to convey it properly. However, different examiners may describe the same disability in varying ways, and temporary changes, for better or for worse, can be misinterpreted if only a single exam is considered. So the VA says to prevent unfair reductions or inaccurate ratings, the VA requires that rating specialists review the veteran's entire medical history, not just the most recent exam, okay? This means they must reconcile all available examination reports to form a consistent and accurate picture of the disability over time. So that's where that goes back to me describing, make sure that you describe a worst day scenario, because that's how you're going to be over time. It's important they get that correct image because that is the correct description of your condition. And the VA wants this to happen because they want your condition to be properly reflected in the record so that you be rated correctly. So here is my recommendation to you before you go to your C&P exam. Okay. Every claim condition that you have submitted, you need to have a cover sheet on that condition with the diagnosis of the claim condition, the in-service event that caused this condition, okay? And then under each one of those, list all the supporting evidence that you have that is submitted with that claim. And be sure that you keep the originals and make a copy that will be submitted to the VA. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to take your originals to your C&P exam. And when you get there, you're going to politely let the examiner know that for their convenience, you have brought all of your evidence with you, because you do understand that there are times that the VA fails to get the full record to them of your condition. Your goal is to be able to get into a dialogue with the C&P examiner so that they will take the time to understand your evidence, understand your level of severity, understand the in-service event, so that they can properly determine your nexus, which is the link between the in-service event and the claim condition, to where you get the outcome that is proper and expected. And by having your evidence with you, gives you the opportunity to look at that in conjunction with them and to answer and clarify any questions they may have. Because I will tell you, the C&P examiners are extremely busy. They a lot of times only get these files, maybe sometimes even a few hours before you come in. And I think, in my opinion, it's probably quite frequent that they don't have a chance to review the file that much before you get there. Now, I did this in my C&P exams, and I had great results. I just make sure that I'm very polite, very courteous. You don't want to give them the impression that you're trying to steer them in any way, or that you're trying to come across like you are an expert in the medical field. Your goal is to provide convenience and also have the opportunity to properly discuss your situation and the evidence at hand. It's extremely important that you have evidence. VA compensation, disability compensation claims are won on evidence, not subjective information. Now, the third part I'm going to get into is going to be material improvement versus temporary improvement. This comes into play especially in a higher level review or a reevaluation of your current condition. The distinction between material improvement and temporary relief is crucial in the context of VA disability benefits. Material improvement refers to sustained enhancement in the veteran's condition that is likely to result in a permanent change in the disability rating. Temporary relief, on the other hand, is a situation where the veteran's condition has temporarily improved, but this improvement is not expected to last beyond a certain period. So in the case of temporary relief, the VA may schedule a reexamination to assess if the improvement is likely to be permanent. If the improvement is sustained, the veteran may be eligible for a temporary disability rating. However, if the improvement is not expected to be permanent, the veteran's benefits may be subject to reduction or termination. So it is extremely essential that each veteran understand the specific criteria and processes involved in the VA's rating decision process, as these can significantly impact your benefits and your financial security. So it's extremely important that you become familiar with the 38 CFR Part 4 Schedule of Ratings for your individual claimed condition in order to make sure that you're able to have the proper discussion with the C&P examiner for the outcome that is appropriate. I know the C&P exam can be extremely stressful, but take this direction, sit down, look through all your evidence, become familiar with what your record states, look in the 38 CFR, study the schedule of ratings associated with your claim conditions, and go in that C&P exam and have an educated conversation with that examiner. Hey, if you found today's information useful, please take a minute, subscribe to my channel. Please like the video so it'll send it out to more veterans, and I do appreciate you watching. I'm Mike, and I'll see you on the next episode.